Let's get started. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday Tello유스 educational webinar. Dr. Tina Johnson and Dr. Chris Morris are with us today. They are internationally renowned educators, speakers, naturopathic practitioners, and the formulators of our life-changing products, 텔로유스 and Surian. Good morning, Dr. Chris and Dr. Tina.
Good morning, Bernard. Good morning, Dr. Tina. Hello, everyone out there.
Hey, good morning, you two, and good morning. Welcome, everyone. Great to hear some of your voices before we got started, and thank you for that introduction, Bernard. Today's webinar is going to be real fun because we have some real life stories and some people that are going to be talking about some experiences that they've been having with the virus. So, you know, when we think about what's going on out there, the information around COVID and the science has really become deeply politicized, and we're going to leave it at that. We're not even going to talk about that kind of stuff. What we want to do is we want to truly change our focus and be completely focused on what can we do. And the stress alone of all of the unknowns is taking a toll. And it's taking a toll on a lot of different people with what's happening here. And Tello유스, as we've talked about before, helps mediate our stress. So keep that in mind. It helps us to handle stress better. But in today's environment, you know, we are in a new experiment. We have a lot of confusing data. We don't have any clear data on all of the harms or potential harms or the potential risks of wearing masks or not wearing masks. You know, do we lock down? Do we not lock down? What's going on economically with that? But we also have real suffering that's happening during these lockdowns. And, you know, there's just a lot of different kind of abuses that are happening there, and some of the mental illness and some of the things that are really being undiagnosed. So we have this big, you know, when I even talk about it, you know, I just feel the stress alone when I talk about these things. And it's just, it's going to go on and on until we all really just take a breath, you know, and step back and change our focus on the primary solution. And that is building our immunity. And we're going to show you today that this is the best and only option at this time. Change your focus from, you know, looking at the fear and getting into all of these different things, even more than I've even brought up. There's all these things that are happening. And we just need to step back and say, okay, what can we do with the knowledge and understanding that we have, and get proactive with our health and do everything that we can to build our immunity. So that's what we're hoping to help you with today, and to show you, you don't really have to be afraid. Dr. Chris, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, let's get into it because we've got a lot to cover and got some great guests. We have some friends that I've known for close to 40 years that we met back in the Bay Area. So we'll introduce them. But let's talk about the challenges that we have today. You see a whole list here of immune system challenges, the environmental toxins, from the food, the air, the water, the new electromagnetic fields that we're introducing because the 21st century technology. We have the invasive microbes that are coming on board, and this is a very unique time. Not only do we have a new virus that's creating this pandemic that everyone gets 24/7 on the news, but we're entering the flu season. The winter months are coming, and that really changes our environment. So just as you said, Dr. Tina, the importance of understanding how you can protect yourself, how build your own immunity and work with your lifestyle, because we have a compromised general population. Just the metabolic imbalances that are out there. The number one area that is a pre-existing condition as far as making yourself susceptible to a real struggle with the viral infection is your insulin resistance. And what we mean by that is that your ability to control your blood sugar, your ability to, have the right response. And when you have insulin resistance, you enter into a pre-diabetic stage, and you have problems making energy. And our focus is always helping you understand that we're energy beings first. And this evolves into more chronic conditions like cardiovascular disease, the number one issue in our country as far as chronic degenerative diseases. And then we experience greater oxidative stress because of the pollutants and the way our body handles the inflammatory response. So all of these things really point to lifestyle. Lifestyle is so important. Don't you agree, Dr. Tina?
It's so important. And, you bring up, insulin resistance, leptin resistance. The data has clearly shown that those two things are truly a big factor in a poor outcome in all of the different countries. And our poor outcomes with COVID is so much higher here because we have such a culture that is experiencing these metabolic imbalances. And the good news is, though, is we can fix this, and we can fix it rather quickly. I mean, within days, we can build our immune system, our leptin levels, we can change our insulin within weeks. So then you can become much more balanced and less susceptible. And all you need to do is get rid of the processed foods, get rid of the ultra processed foods, get the sugars out of the body, go back to the basics. Food is our medicine. And when we prepare our own meals with whole foods and get back to the basics, and eating the clean meats and the fish and the eggs and the organic vegetables, we can make such huge differences. And there's other things, if we're worried about COVID, which why wouldn't we be? We're being told to be worried about it everywhere. But when we step back, and take a look at the different focus here and what we can do, make sure you're getting that good sun exposure, and if you're not getting, the good sun exposure, like here we are in Minnesota, you can take vitamin D, and you can see some of these nutritional deficiencies that are listed here, especially in our winter months here in the northern parts of the United States, and you can't get out in the sun. Make sure you get that vitamin D in supplement wise. And a great thing to do is cod liver oil. And when we look at our European ancestors, they were taking cod liver oil. They had a clue. It's full of vitamin D and all of the other cofactors that help us to utilize that vitamin D, like the Ks and K2s and so many other nutrients that we can't even measure. Get your zinc in, magnesium, potassium, selenium, vitamin Cs. And the reason why we have to supplement, and we've all heard this, is because our foods are depleted. Our ancestors had great minerals and vitamins in their foods, but it's been going downhill since we've processed so much of our soil and taken out all of the good nutrients. So lifestyle wise is your number one, along with your Telloyouth, to build your immune system back, reverse your insulin resistance. Even if you have it a little bit, you want to get your body back to balancing its own blood sugars. You'll look, you'll feel, you'll just have so much more energy and vitality by making those lifestyle changes.
Well, you make such good points, because entering these winter months, there's less UV light to make the vitamin D. We're indoors, so we're not, plugged into the earth for that energy and the sun that lights us up and gives us all our nutrients. We get more the electromagnetic, non-native electromagnetic field influence because we're on our computers and television more because we're indoors. And there's less humidity. Humidity plays such a key role that we don't realize that our immunity starts with our mucosal lining. And so all of these issues ramp up our susceptibility to, being more irritated and ultimately inflamed. So we go through the winter months as a general population with a low grade inflammation that's always there because of our weakened immune response and our new environment. And I'd really like to address the microbiome. That's the area of the gut where we have these trillions of bacteria. Dr. Tina, you want to share a little bit here on this next slide?
Absolutely. You can see on this slide that 70 to 80% of our immunity, it resides in our gut. What goes through our gut? Our food. Again, when we change our food, we're going to change our gut. And you mentioned trillions of cells in our body. Well, we have 10 times the amount of that of bacteria in our body. So there's a constant battle going on between good bacteria, bad bacteria. The more bad bacteria you have, the more compromised your immune system is. The more good bacteria you have, the stronger your immunity is. And what are we trying to do? We're trying to build our immune system because when we think about viruses, we have 10 times the trillions of cells of bacteria in our body, but we have 10 times of that in viral exposure. There's so many viruses that we're exposed to, and it's not about killing, viruses. It's not about, constant disinfecting. It's about building the good bacteria and letting that handle the bad bacteria and keeping those viruses in check. So this has been a part of nature that generations before us have been living with. And that good bacteria wards off that bad bacteria. So we have to go back to feeding that good bacteria. And how can we do that? I'm going to give you a list of some of the good fermented foods that you can incorporate into your daily lifestyle, your diet. You don't have to eat a lot of them. Most people don't even like them because they haven't had them in their diet, but you have to start, really slowly incorporating these back in, and they're going to naturally build the good bacteria to ward off that bad bacteria. So the number one is those fermented foods. This is that natural way to rebuild that good bacteria. And a few of them are going to be kimchi, kefir, miso, tempeh, sauerkraut, and get all the good raw sauerkraut or, the kimchi that has a natural fermentation in there to rebuild that good bacteria, the natural probiotics. And Google the rest. You can get a full list and see if there's one that you like that you can start incorporating a little bit every single day into your diet.
All right. Well, what we'd like to do next is introduce our special guest to give you a live testament to what you can do to protect yourself. And Ralph and Roxana, they're going to join us here. Let's make sure we unmute their line. And we go back, so like I said, close to some 40 years where we met in the Bay Area and Silicon Valley there. And now we're both in Reno, which is just a wonderful opportunity to reconnect. And Ralph, I understand Roxana's a little under the weather. We had the winds blowing here yesterday and it kicked up all the pollen and her allergies kicked in. So she had a pretty rough night, but can you start us out with your experience? I understand that you went in for a flu shot last month. It was October 23rd. And after that shot, you just kind of feel a little punk and had a cold and flu-like symptoms. You want to share a little bit more on what was going on in your life at that time?
Yeah, sure. By the way, Roxana's here. She's
I'm vertical.
Okay, good. Glad you could join us. Hey, Rox.
Yeah, I've never really had a flu shot before. I'm pretty much fairly healthy. But I'm 69, going to be 70 in March. So I go, you know what? I better get a flu shot. My doctor recommended it. And I put her off last year, but this year with my annual checkup, I decided with everything that's going on, the flu season coming on, the coronavirus, I'm going to get a flu shot. So I got a flu shot, and about 4 days later, I called in sick because I wasn't feeling well. And I kind of put it off to the flu shot. I go, well, maybe it's this flu shot, or maybe I just got kind of a cold. The next day I went to work because I still was not feeling 100%. I go, hey, I came home early because I wasn't feeling well. I just told him, I said, hey, I need to go home and go to bed. And that's exactly what I did. So the next day after that, I called in sick again because I still wasn't feeling well. And even going in and taking a nap, I had congestion in the lower lungs, and I had just fatigue, and I never take a nap. So I took a nap, 2 hours, felt good, went back to work the next day, and got off a couple hours early that day as well, and called in sick again. And I go, man, this is really not normal for me. What in the world's going on? Roxana at the same time was sick as well, so I figured she had what I had, got some kind of bug. We're both, functioning. We're both okay. I mean, but we're sick with, kind of a bad cold. And she a little bit worse than me because of her predisposition factors. Blood pressure, diabetic, cancer survivor, stroke survivor. She's got a lot of compromises going on, but she does pretty well because she watches her what she eats and everything like that. But in the meantime, then when all this was going on, I had decided that, what, my doctor also recommended a pneumonia shot. And I go, it ain't gonna hurt because I do notice that I have, if I'm weak anywhere, it's usually in the respiratory system. I go, you know what, a flu shot or a pneumonia shot would probably be good. Now this is about a week and a half after the flu shot, and on top of it, I'd never had. I put off the shingles shot as well. But my mother-in-law, my best friend, and even a coworker at work, they all got shingles. And they say, man, you get shingles, you're going to wish you didn't. So I go, you know what? I better get the shingles shot. If I get the shingles, I'll really kick myself in the rear here for not getting that shot. So I had the flu shot in the left arm, shingles shot in the right arm, about 10 days after I had the flu shot. And of course, I'd already planned, that was on November 3rd. I'd already planned to have that day off. I'd had Sunday and Monday off. November 3rd was a Tuesday, and I'd already taken Tuesday and Wednesday off, planned that. So, and I'm glad I did because sure enough, the shingle shot it made me even more fatigued and more, it's like, so that was good. And I went to work, then on Thursday, and it's like, yeah, all right. I worked all day Thursday. And then the next day, Friday, I'm getting ready to go to work, and Roxana's not feeling well at all. She's really, and her number one complaint was she didn't feel like she could get a good breath, that she couldn't get, oxygen. And of course, that's one of the number one COVID symptoms is the oxygen and the oxygen blood level. So I'm thinking about it. And I go, you know what? We're not going to mess around here because if I go to work, you're bad off. This isn't good. So I called in sick, and we also called the ER, or called the emergency, had them take her to the ER. And sure enough, they went there. They did they did all the various tests and stuff, tested her for COVID. And that was on Friday. She came home. We both rested. And Monday, we got the result of her test, which was COVID positive. So we both had COVID and didn't know it, basically. I mean, we knew something was up, but, we're not flat out. So
Ralph, let me jump in here and just say that all this time, Roxana has pretty much she's quarantined herself, and you were the one that's really been out in the public and going to your job.
right.
So we know you had to be the source, really.
Pretty much. I mean, pretty much.
Even though when he would come home, he would disrobe and leave his clothes in the garage and his shoes. I mean, he tried really hard not to bring the infection home.
Right.
Right.
And, yeah, and so I had to get tested. It's the Monday that we got her confirmed for COVID. I went and got tested, and then by Wednesday, they gave me a positive COVID as well. So we've been in quarantine for the since then, and I'm in quarantine for 10 days, and that 10th day will be tomorrow. Will be the end of that, and I'm gonna.
Let me jump in again and just say, now let's give a little background. A year ago, you started on the Tello유스.
Yes, I did.
Right.
Yeah, I've been looking. You know, you're going downhill. You know, I realize that, you know, knocking 70. You know, if I want my 70s and 80s to be good, I have to be healthy, and you know, you want to slow down the degeneration. And I'm thinking, man, you know, what am I going to do? Human growth hormone? Nah, I don't want to do. You know, I'm thinking, and that's when last year, you know, hey, Tello유스, Chris, really? And I go, well, that looks like what I'm looking for. So we both of us jumped on that, and we had great results with it. I lost weight. It was very normalizing. It really, it got all the systems in line. I mean, I could really tell the difference just in the way I woke up, the way I slept, the energy level during the day, just you know, a whole bunch of things. My people at work don't, when I tell them, when they ask me how old I am, the reason they ask me, because they suspect I'm old, but they know that I don't present as being old. My speech, my walk, my talk, you know, just the whole other. So they ask me, when I tell them, that they're just amazed. And I go, well, hey, you know, even if you're young, if you don't have good health, life isn't good. You need good health. And of course, they're looking at what I eat, and I'm eating, you know, food, not food product at lunch and that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, God bless you, Dr. Chris, for bringing Tello유스 into our life, because
we cleaned out all our closets.
I'm never going to stop taking it. I'm going to take as much of it as I can get.
Well, yeah. I think your story now is one where we want to help everyone understand is that you put yourself through tremendous immune stress by, first of all, you were exposed to COVID and didn't realize it. You went ahead and got a flu shot, which challenges your immune system, which it's supposed to do, but it's challenging it when it already has something going on. And then a week or two later, you go and have another couple of vaccinations that challenges your immune system further.
Oh, yeah.
And so now to see how you're able to endure the immune challenges, and now, how are you feeling now? Let's talk about just, so you've been through all this exposure, you've been infected with the virus, and you've had all these immune, you know, vaccinations. How are you doing as far as, the only reason probably you're not at work is because you're quarantined, right?
Exactly. The only reason I'm not at work, I'm good to go. Yeah, I'm very impressed with my reaction to having COVID on top of flu, pneumonia, and shingle shot vaccinations.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about Roxana. Your situation is just, you know, the doctors they refer to you as their miracle, because you've really been through it with, you know, surviving cancer and having blood sugar issues, which makes you, again, highly predisposed to any type of infection, whether it's viral or bacterial. So being pre-diabetic, and also you had a stroke. What was it in 2016 or when?
That
when
was
that
2015.
Okay, 2015.
And then the cancer was 2016.
Okay, and And how are you doing now as far as your recovery and all the issues that you're going through?
Well, I'm shocked that because I was so afraid of the COVID. But insofar as how I've been reacting to it, I've been shocked at how well I'm doing. The things that are really prevalent are living, on a mountain of 1,000 trees. And that's what's really knocked me down. But that happens every year. The pollen happens every year.
Okay, well, we'll work on that as we go here and build back your immunity. But we're so impressed with your ability to handle the stressors that you've taken on, and now to have this new viral infection and overcoming it beautifully here. So anything else you'd like to share as far as you feel like you're getting stronger every day, and if it wasn't
Yes.
for the allergies? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. We have to really give it all to the Tello. The Tello has changed our lives, and it's changed friends' lives too.
Wonderful. So can you give us an idea what you're taking every day as far as the amounts?
Okay, we started off with 2 and 2 every day, 2 morning, 2 night. Then we jumped up to 4 and 4.
It got even better results.
And then we went to 5 and 5.
Well, what I did was I went on the Tel-Youth website and I read the frequently asked questions section, and then the testimonials, and to see what other people were doing and how they were using it and the results that they were using it. And I found that to be very informative. It lets you know what you need to look for, because something like all of a sudden that list you've got of things to do that have lasted a long time, you're doing it. All of a sudden you're doing 3 or 4 things at once, and you're getting stuff done, and you don't even realize that you didn't make the decision to do it. You just find yourself doing it. And I go, wow, this stuff is really, that's one of the big things that I could tell is, man, you're just getting stuff done here. And so in reading it with the frequently asked questions, how people are using it, I go, you know what? 2 and 2, 4 and 4, that's good. That's good for maintenance. But what I wanted to do is what other people were doing, is I wanted to max out and go up to like 6 and 6 for a while, to really get some momentum and to get some good progress, and then back down to more of a maintenance level. And that's really worked out for us.
Yeah, and I think it's really a blessing in disguise to have you handle these new stressors that came into your life. So we want to thank you both for just really sharing your story. Dr. Tina, do you have any comments or questions before we move on in our presentation here?
Well, congratulations. The poor outcomes with COVID, especially for you, Roxana, could have been really, really a lot different as far as an outcome. So,
oh no, the outcome was amazing.
Yeah, glad
That's why I was so afraid of it, because I had so many things going on.
Yeah, multiple. Yes, definitely. So you were strong enough to, break through that and come through on the other side. Congratulations. Thank you so much, both of you, for sharing your stories. It helps everyone, especially in this big time, of fear. And, I don't know if you have this question, Ralph and Roxana, but this comes up for me. Dr. Chris, maybe you could answer this at this point. Now that they have had COVID, what is the chance that they would get this again? What are you getting, or what are you seeing out there as far as the studies right now?
Well, here's what's just been released out of the immune research centers out of La Jolla, down in the San Diego area. They're sharing with everyone that if you've been exposed and you've had the infection, that you have a minimum immunity of 6 months and for several years. And that fits with just typically how the immune system works. Your body responds to a foreign invader, it creates the antibodies that you build in your system. And these antibodies are around for maybe 4 to 6 months. And this is what the tests do. They try to pick up the antibody response to see if you've been infected or not. But realize that those antibodies fade away so that you can be tested again a year later. And if they don't do the right kind of testing, they're going to think that, okay, you don't have the protection, but you do, because you have memory cells. Your T cells have a very special memory. So if this foreign invader comes back again, it immediately produces the antibodies that it doesn't have to go through a time period. They're available immediately, and you have an immediate response. So yes, to answer your question, you are you've naturally vaccinated yourself by getting exposed. And the only times that you can really get it again is if you have a weak immune system and you don't respond efficiently the first time you're exposed, then you can get exposed again and catch it again. So just know that Roxana and Ralph were a perfect example of a very strong immune system. Look how Ralph responded to his vaccinations. Look at how Roxana's immunity worked beautifully for her, and they're recovering nicely. So they've got a strong immune response and a strong memory. And that's what we're showing here on the body of the immune system. That thymus gland is where those T cells mature, and then they create that memory, so that if you come across this foreign invader again, your body knows how to respond. And a lot of people don't even respond to the coronavirus because we have 7 different coronaviruses that we've been exposed to in our culture. And this advanced immunity, that if a person has a strong immunity, they will actually adapt to even a new type of coronavirus in many cases. So this is also a possibility, and why our emphasis is always on building your immune system, building your ability to respond to the type of environment that we have in our culture today. So you see the bone marrow, where we make the immune cells from our stem cell production in our bone marrow. And then Dr. Tina, you referred to the small intestine. Well, we have these very specific pirate patches, they're called, and they are a big part of your immune system to respond to the 70 to 80% that exists there in the GI tract. So let's talk a little bit more how the ingredients work on building our immunity. So a traumatized cell, or a cell that's been infected, it sends out a signal, and those signals go to that first line of defense, that cellular defense that we support with the marine collagen. The marine collagen is like the glue that holds your cells together. And those cells, when they're tightly knit together, they are impossible to invade, or near impossible. And then you have the immune modulation that happens with the aloe vera and the chaga and the rhodiola. They trigger that healthy response within the bone marrow to make the type of immune cells, the natural killer cells, the macrophage, the T cells that we're talking about from maturing in the thymus. So all of this is being built up every day that you take Tel-O-Youth. You're facilitating this immune response and building your immunity so that you can have the modulation and the defense and the repair. And that repair means if you have the right components that we added into with the fertilized tissue extract and the L-arginine, now you regenerate. You not only just repair what's been traumatized, but you have the ability to go back and regenerate the tissue. So very, very powerful response that happens in the body when taking the Tel-O-Youth, and why we're seeing just remarkable stories of, so many individuals that are on Tel-O-Youth, they'll be exposed to the virus and won't even know that they've been exposed. They'll be one of the many thousands, if not millions, of individuals that go around with an immune system that's able to respond to the invader and build up their immune response and actually be inoculated without having to take a vaccine. So, Dr. Tina, anything else to add there?
Very good. Thank you. And remember that Teleuth does help with mediating stress. When we have that high stress, our immune system really gets taxed. And so if we can bring our stress levels down, we can help our immune system to get stronger as well. And we'd like you to know that this information is provided for educational, informational purposes only. Please do not consider it as a substitute for professional advice. We're not here to prevent, diagnose, cure, or treat any disease. And if you do have any imbalances, please reach out to your health professional. So thank you very much, Roxanne and Ralph. Way to go. Good job. We're so glad that you're able to come on. Roxanne, I hope you feel better with your allergies. We'll work on that next.
The only thing I would say is the quality of your immune system is the quality of your life. And take
your nutrients.
Take as much Teleuth as you can get because you're worth it.
Well, thank you for that, Ralph.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, and all of those other nutrients, balance them out. And if you didn't get what those are, please look at the recording and you'll be able to write down all of those things that we talked about that you can use in conjunction with your Teleuth. Thank you, you two. Awesome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for this incredible, life-giving, life-renewing formulation.
You're
Our
welcome.
pleasure.